Hello all. Today I want to talk a little bit about abrasion. I'm going to do this in a mechanical properties way, but I'm going to tell you things that you already know. So when I'm done, you're going to say, well, gee, I already knew that. Nonetheless, this is kind of my style, so I'm going to go forward with it. But before I get to that, it is early June 2024, and the Lather Games is going on. Lather Games is a competition that occurs on Reddit, on the wet shaving subreddit there, and that's one of the few places that I hang out in social media. So I have a lot of friends there who actually watch these videos, although I'm not certain the videos aren't really used as a sleep aid. Nonetheless, hello to all of you who tune into this video. I play in the Lather Games primarily not to compete for prizes, but to compete as an excuse to read the daily comments in the Shave of the Day post. And again, I do this for the entertainment. It has been terrific so far. So well done to all of you. All right, let me move forward. This discussion of abrasion occurred when I received these two razors. This is a River Razors 6/8 3/4 hollow that was made for me by Boris at River Razors. And this is unbelievable. The work on this razor is just insane. You can see the file work on the spine. The polish is incredible. The scales are amazing. So Boris, bien fait, c'est magnifique. This is a Thiers Issard. It has abalone scales. It is 7/8. Let's see if there's anything, full hollow. Yeah, so it's full hollow. Now, I got these razors, or received these razors at the end of May, and I immediately took microscope images of them. So first, I'm going to show you a microscope image of the River Razors 6/8. I'm going to show you a microscope image of the very edge of this razor. Then I'm going to show you a microscope image of this razor, and then I'm going to explain why testing after looking at those images caused me to think about doing a talk on abrasion. Okay, so you may have noticed that the Thiers Issard has a kind of a beautiful bevel, very, very, very polished looking. And the River Razors the bevel appears a little bit rougher. So let's test them. So here's the River Razors, and as you can see, this just goes into the packing peanut easily. And I've actually shaved with this razor, so I'm showing you performance of the edge after a couple of shaves. This razor, let's show you this razor. I get nothing, right? Nothing, 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 nothing. So how can that be? Well, especially when the bevel on this razor looks so incredible, and a lot of people really chase the scratch pattern as an indication of sharpness. But what this is showing you is, in fact, the edge on the River Razors is far more shavable it's definitely more shavable under my requirements than the Thiers Issard. And how does that happen? Well, what I think happened, I think the reason that the bevel on this razor looks so good is that it spent a lot of time on a loaded strop doing final finishing. But they went to the loaded strop before the apex had really been formed on this razor to a point that meets the packing peanut standard. And so that's what got me thinking about talking about abrasion was just the simple process of making sure that at each step that you do in refining an edge, you make sure that the edge meets the standards of the abrasive that you're using. And so let's talk a little bit about how to use or the properties involved in a progression of abrasives. I'm going to use synthetic stones because they're easiest to talk about, and I'm just going to stay with that. I'm not going to talk about slurries. I want to keep this talk as simple as possible. I'm going to break here and I'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, I've pulled out my high-tech display device here, and I've drawn an apex and two bevels. And let's talk about what we hope to accomplish using a progression of stones, of decreasing abrasive size when we are sharpening a razor in this case. Well, we have in mind a, hang on, I'm going to put this down while I do this. We have in mind an ideal apex size that we want to achieve. And if you're doing this for yourself, that ideal apex size might be as small as you can get it. If you do this for other people, that ideal apex size is one that gives a terrific shave, but also leaves enough structure in the edge that that the edge doesn't break down right away. So you want to get, a reasonable number of shaves at the same quality out of the edge as you can, and still have it shave really well. So when I sharpen for other people, I have that in mind. When I sharpen for myself, I play around. I often will push an edge to its extreme because I got the tools. I can go back and reshape the edge if I need to. But generally speaking, this is the goal that we have. We want to start. We typically start with an edge that's dull, i.e., and then we want to refine it. Now, the advantage of going through a sequence of stones is that a relatively coarse stone removes a good deal of the, I'm not drawing well, but a good deal of the material quickly. And that's fine because there's no need to spend a ton of time to get to that stage. You're not too worried about the fineness of the edge. You're not worried about the texture of the edge. You really just need to remove material. Sorry, my drawing here sucks. Hang on, I'm going to clean this up. Okay. Now, we would use a fairly coarse stone to take a large amount of material off. Now, the next thing we want to do, if we don't want to, first of all, the abrasive size is going to limit how it's going to limit the size at the apex because the abrasives themselves chew it up. So we want to move, in order to make the next step down, we move to a smaller abrasive. and you know, that's going to shave off just a little bit more material on each side, leaving us with a small amount of material and an apex that's slightly larger than we want. And then eventually we use the finest stone to remove this little piece of material to allow us to achieve the final form that we want to have. Now, what's convenient about this is that the abrasives in the stones make that easy. And it's very worthwhile to understand the nature of those abrasives. So I'm going to pause again and get some sandpaper. Okay, here's some very coarse, looks like 40 grit sandpaper. And as you can see, the abrasive is very large on this sandpaper, and the each piece of the abrasive is about the same size, but they do vary in size. Nonetheless, they're similar in size, and because they're all the same material, they're going to have a similar. Each piece of the abrasive will have a similar shape. Now you can see by looking. Hopefully, you can see. Yeah, there you go. You can see that that if I rub something across here, the abrasive size is going to limit how fine I can, how much I can refine. I can only refine so far on this grade of sandpaper, and the part of the reason I wanted to show you this is to say what I just said about each piece of abrasive on the sandpaper. As I use this sandpaper, each piece removes a volume of material, right? As I slide something across here, it's removing depth and it's removing width, and then the movement is removing. So I've got height, depth, and width being removed as I move something across here. The width might be the width and all of this is related to the size of the abrasive particles. The height, width, and depth of the particles themselves. That's what determines how much material is removed. Now let's look at what they do to confuse us. Right, here's a 2K stone. Shapton conveniently tells you the size of the abrasive material in this stone, and that size is 7.3 microns, 7.35 microns. That tells you almost nothing about the abrasive material. That is a linear measurement, and the grit system does the same thing. If you go and there are a bunch of different grit systems just to keep it all confusing. But if I go to a 4000, they've done the same thing, right? They've said, oh, well, this is 3.68. Okay, so that again doesn't tell us a lot other than you know the abrasive particles in this are about 8 microns, and the abrasive particles in this are about 4 microns. Now, these values probably relate to the mesh that is used to sift particles down to, or filter particles down to, a specific size. If you took all those particles and you measured their volume, and then you took an average of those volumes, then you could represent that average volume by a cube. The advantage of this for our thought experiment is that the volume of a cube is the length, width, and height. The length, width, and height are the same value, and you can simply cube those to get the volume. Okay, so who cares, right? Well, here's the thing. Let's say this is that each particle in this stone is 8 microns on each side, and the particles on this stone are 4 microns on each side. Okay, well, the volume that this is going to remove is 64 times 8, 512 cubic microns. The volume that this is going to remove is 64 cubic microns. I hate doing math while talking. Anyway, 64 cubic microns. Note that these are about 2 microns apart, but I've got the difference between 64 cubic microns and 512 cubic microns. So if I wanted to and it just so happens, because I picked the numbers for the math to be easy, it just so happens that to equate the amount of volume that this removes, if I wanted to remove the amount of volume that this removed with one pass, I'd need eight passes. 8 times 64, right, would be 512. I'd need 8 passes on this stone to remove an equivalent volume. And that's what's convenient, getting back to this mess of a drawing. That's what is convenient here. If I need to remove a lot of material, coarse stone does that for me. When I get down to wanting to not overdo it, not overhone, and we'll talk about that in a minute, then it's good to step down to a finer abrasive, because it's going to remove not only less material, but equivalent time on this stone and this stone. Equivalent time from this stone removes 8 times less in the artificial case that I created. If I spend the same amount of time on this stone as on this stone, I remove 8 times less volume. And that would repeat, right? If I went to the 8K then, from the 4K, right, I would have a volume of 64 cubic microns, and this would be a volume of 8. If I round this up to 2, this would be a volume of 8 cubic microns. And again, 8 times 8 is 64. So I need to do 8 times as much work with this stone as I would do to remove the equivalent volume with this stone. Now, the way you use that information, the way you typically see me use that information, is to start on something like a 4K and determine, sort of through testing and through feel, that I'm not progressing fast enough, right? I'm not moving my way through the material that I need to remove fast enough. So, I could stay on the 4K to do that, but it's going to take eight times the amount of work to do that on this stone as it will on this stone. So I typically just jump back and do the work on this stone until I can test into the correct sharpness for this stone. And even on 2K, I should be able to push cut the packing peanut. Then once I've accomplished the appropriate shape on the 2K, then I move back on the 4K, do the refinement at an appropriate volume removal and an appropriate rate to get down to the next level of refinement and the next level of keenness that this abrasive will allow. And then when I get there, then I would move to the 8K, right? To get down to another one, to the next level, and then the next level in progression. The idea with the next level of progression is to refine that apex more, and to do it by sneaking up on it by removing not a lot of material. And again, that can be done with a finer abrasive. Now, as you get to 8K and finer, you start being able to refine this apex to the point that some steels can't handle it. Some steels aren't structurally strong enough to handle an overall, I'll draw this in the ideal shape here. If I refine this down to the ideal shape, a lot of steels can't handle this shape. The amount of material here is simply too thin to withstand the loads even of shaving, and so the edge simply breaks up. And some steels are so poor that the edge starts to break up even under the loads of honing. So that's what overhoning is, and you want to, the art of this is to narrow this down to the point where it gives you it has excellent shaving performance and excellent wear resistance performance. And there's no one rule about that, because each of us has different beards and each of us has different styles of shaving. And so that's where a lot of the art comes into this. Now, I had a discussion with Devin Jackson that I thought was, that kind of was thought-provoking in how to use abrasives at the finishing stage. That is, I have, especially with knives, I tend to take small steps in abrasive, because I do a lot of polishing, and when you're polishing, you need to remove, in order to get a high gloss result, you need to move through the polishing in steps where the abrasive size does not change a lot, because you need to remove the scratch pattern of as you move to finer and finer abrasives, you need to remove the scratch pattern from the abrasive you used before. And when you do this, you get the kind of mirror polish that you saw on the River Razor's razor. So I tend to think about moving through the progression in that way. But what Devin and I were talking about was the notion that Shapton suggests that you use a coarse stone, something like if I were using glass stones, they would suggest that for the coarse stone, something down near where you would set a bevel, they suggest a 3K, and then they suggest a 10K as the medium grit stone, and then they suggest a 30K. With the Kuramatsu stones, they suggest, I think it was a 2K, an 8K, and then the 30K. And so we were thinking, wow, that jump from 8K to 30K is pretty large. But let's think about that, because maybe I should hang on. I'll pause and do another high-tech drawing here. Okay. So let's assume that this is the shape of an edge that comes off of an 8K. If I jumped, I think the thinking that Shapton has is that if you move to something like a 12K and you spend time on it, you're going to refine it further, but you're also going to get yourself into the territory where any further refinement is going to move you into overhoning. It will move you on most steels into overhoning territory. In fact, they say that you can use the 12K if you use a very hard steel, a very high hardness steel. So they kind of allude to the fact that, and they're giving general advice here. So they're alluding to the fact that at 8K you sort of have a good platform in terms of edge shape to refine carefully. And so if you jumped to 30K, you're removing. 30K is with the Kuramatsu stones, 30K is just under 0.5 or is it? Yes, it's something like 0.48 microns, and so we'll call that 0.5 microns. And you know, with an abrasive size that small, the volume of material removed is also very small. In fact, it's two steps. It's 64 times less than, or 1/64th, the volume that you would remove with 8K for similar effort. So the advantage of that is to be able to come in and start with an edge that's already sharp, and then just refine it a little bit more to get one step at a time to get into kind of perfection territory. So that's another way to think about using abrasive size and the volume removed to allow you to tweak in a more precise manner. And so I think that's what I'm going to try. This razor needs honing, and I think that's what I'm going to try here. I'm going to get this established on 4K. It shouldn't need much work on 4K. Then I'm going to go to 8K and get the edge in great shape. And then I'm going to take it to a nanocloth strop, actually, but that strop has 0.5 or it has 0.25 0.25 micron diamond emulsion in it, and I'm gonna work with that diamond emulsion to try to refine this edge just a little bit at a time and see how that goes. Now, to sort of approximate the Shapton idea of jumping from 8 to 0.5, I'll spend a little time on a 0.75 micron strop, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I'm just going to whale away longer on the 0.25 micron strop and see how it goes. Okay, so let me get set up and I'll be back. Okay, to keep this video shorter than my normal super long length, I went ahead and started here on the 4K, and I've been going on it for a couple of minutes, and I wanted to show you the result is no improvement. So I'm going to apply the principle that we just discussed, and I'm going to move from the 4K down to the 2K in order to move things along more quickly. Okay, I'm back. I've spent quite a bit more time on the 2K than I thought I would need to, maybe 5 minutes. But I just did a test, and so I'll show you the result. Now I'm push cutting throughout the blade, which is where I should be on the coming off the 2K. Now I should have shown you, but it's a guarantee that I could have slice cut almost before I started. Slice cutting is a poor measure of edge keenness. It's far better to get accustomed to push cutting, because at times when you can't push cut, you will be able to slice cut. Okay, I'm going to move to the 4K and I will come back. Okay, I'm just finishing up here on the 4K. I'm liking the way a very, very light slurry is moving. I like the feel of the edge on the stone. So let's do a pass here and then do a quick test. Okay, that's easy. That's easy. That's easy. This is a fresh packing peanut. That's easy. Nice. Okay, so we're done on the 4K. Let's move to the 8K, which is where the fun should begin. I'm going to pause the video, show you a microscope image of the scratch pattern at 4K, and then come back on the 8K. Okay, I have, this is the 8K. I flattened it, raised a little slurry with the DMT stone. Let's kill the edge so that we can bring back the edge with fresh metal, because from here on it's stropping. So we want this edge to be as pristine as we can get it. I'm definitely resting the edge on the stone and letting the abrasive do the work. At the moment, I feel as if the edge on this side feels really good, and the edge on this side feels as if it can come down to the stone a little bit. So I'm going to be doing a little bit more work on this side until I start to feel it, and I am starting to feel it. Yep. Again, the benefit of having done, making sure that the work is right on the 4K is that whatever anomalies are at the edge will be small as I move to finer and finer abrasive. If they're not, then I have to go backwards and correct them. But this is looking quite good. I'm pushing the abrasive along. Should say pushing the razor along. I'm not torquing it much at all. Just enough to keep the edge on the stone. Okay, let's do a little. I like slurry. Now this is going to be the last stone that we use. So we're at the other side here. I want to do this under clear water to get a nice refined edge here. As refined as the 8K will give me, because if I follow the Shapton logic, then this edge is very close to an ideal edge. And from here, I want to just refine it a little bit. So we'll push this edge, or try to. I'm also going to take a microscope image to ensure that even at 8K, the edge quality is good, and I have not pushed the edge on the 8K, which, you know, with these glass stones, they're pretty aggressive, so it might be possible. I don't know. It might be possible to push the edge with this steel on this stone. Feeling pretty darn good. Do a little edge cleanup. And let's give it a shot. I'm going to skip the step where I normally would go from here to a linen strop, the fire hose linen strop. I'll skip that step for the purpose of this experiment. Well, it's certainly evenly sharp. I think I'm going to push it just a little bit more. It's like watching grass grow, isn't it? Really, I'm really concentrating in the sense of trying to feel everything I can feel on this stone. Okay, let's see. I don't want to overdo it. And that's the value, in my view, of testing, is that if you have a way of testing quickly, you can be pretty efficient on each stone. You can only do on the stone what's necessary. Testing tells you where to stop and move on. Okay, that's better. That's definitely better. So that was worth doing. Okay, now comes the fun part. I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna go take a look at this edge. Come back with the nanocloth strops. Okay, this is 0.75 micron diamond emulsion on nanocloth. I am going to, it's an emulsion that's been on there a long time. I'm going to put a fine mist onto this. And the reason I'm doing that is to sort of wake it up a little bit. That often is kind of necessary on a semi-regular basis to do with these. I have an old leather strop under here. It's not going to matter if it gets wet, it'll dry out. All right, so I have no idea how much to do, but I'm going to sneak up on this. I'll do like 15 laps on this. I do these pretty carefully because we don't want to torque the edge into the glass. Okay, yeah, let's do one more. There we go. Wipe the abrasive off, get the abrasive off the razor. Do a little test, see if that's done anything for us. Very, very good. Very, very good. Okay, now let's move on to the really, really fine abrasive here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put some spray on this. To wake up the, as they say, wake up the emulsion a little bit. And let's try 30. Okay. Get everything cleaned off, and we'll do a final test here. And we'll go see if we have managed to overhone this thing, or if we're in a beautiful territory here. Yeah, where's my, here it is. Okay. All right, let's see how we do. Well, that's pretty darn good. It's not quite in push into the cloud territory. I want to go take a look at this and then come back and maybe do some more. All right, I'm back. I thought the edge, I'll show you a picture of the edge now. I thought the edge looked on the verge of being fragile. So I chose to do some stropping. I stropped 25 laps on leather, then 30 laps here on the steer hide, 25 laps on linen, then 30 laps here on steer hide leather. And let's do a test. Oh, okay. Well, we are in push into the cloud phase here. That's a really, really, really sharp edge. Okay, well that's where you want it to be. All right, so I think if I were to try this again, I'd probably skip the 0.75 micron diamond emulsion stage and refine. Use the 0.25 to refine. Moving from the aluminum oxide abrasive to the diamond abrasive is a change. The diamond abrasive, I think, was a little more aggressive, and so I think in terms of changing the type of abrasive, I could probably get away with skipping the 0.75 micron diamond emulsion. Real interesting test. Obviously, I need to go shave test this, which I will do, and I will report back when I show the final image. I'll let you know what the shave test was like. Thanks again for watching. Sorry again for making this so long. I can't seem to stop talking. Anyway, take care, and we'll see you in the next one. Well, the test shave was pretty terrific. I think that's in part due to the larger 7/8 razor format. I tend to really enjoy 7/8 and 8/8 a lot. I have a Philharmonic 14 that's an exceptional razor. I also have a River Razors 14, also an exceptional razor. So I think the 7/8 made a big difference, but the edge was terrific as well. Very comfortable, very sharp, had a real close, comfortable, no drama shave from it. Again, thank you for joining me in this, and I will see you in the next one.